The day Marc Marquez didn't just win, he erased history, rewrote pain, and made 5 years of suffering look like a prelude to a throne built in blood, bolts, and brutal speed. 5 straight wins on a Ducati, a feat no other man in red has ever achieved. This isn't a comeback. This is a massacre. Let's start with the bones, not metaphors. Actual bones, July 19, 2020. Jerez. The moment that could have ended everything. A freak high side, a smashed humerus, a nerve that refused to heal, and 4 surgeries that tore apart a man who used to make other riders look like background extras in his highlight reels. His arm was rebuilt with titanium, but even that betrayed him. The plate rotated, 30 degrees. Doesn't sound like much, does it? But if you've ever slammed a door on your finger, multiply that pain by 1,000 and make it permanent. That was Marc Marquez's daily reality. For months, for years, every throttle twist was a scream. Every lap was a gamble. And through it all, retirement loomed like a shadow whispering, "You're done." But here's the thing. Marc Marquez was never wired for peace. He wasn't built for retirement. His DNA doesn't understand words like manage or wait. The man's entire philosophy is war, not metaphorical war. Actual blood in the teeth, eye of the storm, fangs out warfare. When that visor drops, it's not a race, it's a hunt, a kill mission. And after 5 years in the wilderness, hunted by injury, doubt, and time itself, today, the beast hunted back. July 20th, 2025, Brno, his 5th consecutive win, 11 sprint wins out of 12. 8th GP victory this year. First Ducati rider in history to string together 5 Grand Prix wins in a row. Let that sink in. History wasn't rewritten, it was scorched. There's a reason the paddock watches him with silence now. Not fear, not awe. Something deeper, something colder. A recognition that the old Marquez, the one who dominated from 2013 to 2019, was just the prototype. What we're seeing now is something else. Something more refined, more dangerous. A rider who bled for years, got betrayed by his own body, faced every demon you could imagine, and then came back not to participate, but to obliterate. Today wasn't just another win. It was a funeral for the past. Here's how it went down. Saturday sprint, handled. That's 11 sprint wins out of 12 this year. And let's be real, he didn't even flinch. Tire pressure issues, brushed aside. That's the thing about Marquez. Give him a bike that goes fast, and you better pray you're not the one ahead of him when the lights go out. Sunday, 21 laps. Ducati's heart beating like war drums in his garage, started second, dropped back in the opening laps. And then he waited. Patient, controlled, stalking. Bezzecchi led. Bagnaia opened with the whole shot. But 8 laps in, the Predator struck. One move, clean, surgical. And once he passed Bezzecchi, it was like a curtain dropped behind him. The rest of the field faded into irrelevance. The game was over. Everyone just didn't know it yet. By lap 13, he was 1.5 seconds ahead. By lap 16, it was 2. But did he push? No. He coasted. Let that sink in. He had enough of a gap to relax in the final laps. That's the level we're dealing with. Final margin? 1.753 seconds. That's what you call domination with restraint. And now let's talk about the carnage he left behind. Alex Marquez crashed early. Again, his closest rival now 120 points adrift. That's not a gap, that's a crater. Pecco Bagnaia started from pole, finished 4th. Now reduced to a background player in the Marquez saga. He's 168 points back. He might as well be on a different planet. Bezzecchi gave everything, still couldn't hang. Acosta finally found the podium, but even he knew it was by default. And Jorge Martin, back after months, finished 7th, 15 seconds behind. Let that sentence sit. The man who almost stole the 2023 title now looks like he's riding in slow motion. This is not racing. This is surgical violence. But don't get it twisted. This isn't just a story about domination. This is a story about pain. About 5 years of getting up from the floor when your body tells you to stay down. About sitting in hospital beds, wondering if it's all over. About watching the sport evolve without you. New champions, new names, flying Frenchmen. Saturday King, smooth Pecco. Where was Marquez? Fighting ghosts, fighting shadows, fighting himself. He didn't jump ship, He didn't cry on camera, he just kept working, day in, day out. And when Honda became a graveyard, he walked away with his head held high. No farewell ceremony, no tears, just grit. He rolled into Gresini, then bulldozed his way into the factory Ducati seat. And now, every doubter is choking on the smoke he left behind. And the mentality? Brutal. When asked about the points lead, he said, "I can only lose it now." That's not arrogance, that's truth. With 120 points over Alex and 168 over Pecco, it would take a miracle or a meteor for him to lose this title. But here's the wild part. He doesn't care about records. He said it himself, "I just want to be world champion again." Let that echo. This isn't about being the most decorated. This is about proving to himself and to every doctor, journalist, team boss, and fan who counted him out that he's still that guy. And if you're hoping he'll coast to the finish line, forget it. To finish controlling the points is not and will not be my way. So if I can attack, I will attack every race. That's not a strategy, that's a war cry. Today, Marc Marquez made history. Again. Not just with wins, with scars, with silence, with pressure so heavy it would have broken another man in half. He's now the second most successful rider in MotoGP history with 70 Grand Prix wins. But this season, this blood-drenched, chest-thumping campaign of violence, it's more than a numbers game. It's a resurrection, a revenge tour, a reminder. Because the truth is, they forgot. The world forgot what it felt like when Marc Marquez is at full power. But now they remember, and they're scared. As we go into the summer break, here's the scoreboard. 5 straight Grand Prix wins, 5 straight 37-point weekends, 11 sprints out of 12, 70 career victories, 120-point title lead, a pit full of broken men wondering what hit them. Marc Marquez has one job left: finish the war. And if the second half of the season plays out like the first, there'll be no survivors. Because what we're watching isn't a comeback. It's a conquest, a throne rebuilt from scar tissue and rage. And at the center of it all stands the last man you should have doubted. Marc Marquez, the savage, the king, the superhuman, the man who turned 5 years of agony into 5 wins of pure, undiluted hellfire. And guess what? He's not done yet. In the Czech Grand Prix, he showcased patience, a new weapon in his arsenal. Shuffled back by Bezzecchi, he didn't panic. He didn't force it. He bided his time, like a lion watching an injured antelope limp through the grass. He waited until the tires began to drop on lap 8, then launched. When I felt the first drop of the tires is when I attacked, because it's where I started to play with the bike. And, as always, in the second part of the race, I felt better and better. Then I managed the distance, and it was enough to take the 25 points. This isn't old Marquez. This is evolved Marquez. Brutal when necessary, but now smart enough to pick the moment with surgical precision. Jorge Martin might have 16 sprint wins to his name. But Marquez? He's sitting on 11 from 12 this season alone. And there's still 10 more races left. Let that math slap you across the face. The numbers don't lie. This isn't a comeback. It's a reassertion of unassailable power. It's the legend, Marc Marquez, writing his most brutal, gangster, and emotionally charged chapter yet. The king is back, not to reign quietly, not to coast, but to conquer. And he's doing it with a savagery that makes the rest of the grid look like they're scrambling for survival in a world built for killers. This isn't just a season, it's a statement, a brutal, beautiful symphony of superhuman defiance.